Hello, everyone, and welcome to A New Direction. My name is Jay Izzo, and oh, man, we have another great show for you. Let me just ask a question. Do you think your marketing's pretty good? How's your branding? How's your brand? Do me a favor, right? Not now, especially if you're driving down the road. Do me a favor. Go take a look at your website, which you probably haven't looked at in a while. How does it make you feel? And you go, what does it matter how I feel? Well, it matters everything, how you feel. Because take a look at your house, right? Maybe beyond the light bulbs, right? Take a look at the lighting, the light fixtures, right? The colors that you put in your apartment or your house. Let me ask you a question. Did you just go with the lowest price and do the logical thing, or did you do it because it felt good? Yeah. You see, here's the thing that we don't want to admit. The thing that we don't want to admit is that we do not make logical purchasing decisions. None of us do. It requires emotion for us to make a decision. I've repeatedly said this. The research has bared it out. We don't make left-brained logical decisions. But we have this thing called a corpus callosum that connects two halves of the brain, right? We have this other part of the right brain, and then we've got all this stuff in the limbic system, right? We're going to talk about some of that stuff because you know me, I geek out on that stuff. But the fact of the matter is, we don't make logical purchase decisions. And we go with brands that make us feel good. Or in some level, make us feel better about ourselves. At the end of the day, it's all feeling. And so I come back to you and ask, how do you feel about your brand? How do you think it makes others feel? Have you researched it? Oh, I know what you're going to say to me. Well, Jay, we have a pretty good idea. We get reviews from people, but how about the reviews that you didn't get? See, because we have a bias, right? We have confirmation bias. Oh, look at all my Google reviews. I got all these positive Google reviews. Yeah, but why didn't everybody give you positive Google review? Why weren't more people giving it? Why aren't they jumping over themselves to do something good? Because you know why? Not everybody feels good about your brand. And in fact, you may be surprised that most people don't feel good about your brand. And now you've got to figure out something different. And so how do we figure out something different? How do we create brand desire? How do we spark customer interest? Well, you're going to need some emotional insights, aren't you? I got you covered here. I got you. I do. I got you. His name's Kevin Perlmutter. Perlmutter. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been practicing that name for like 7 days and not convinced on any one.
You were so close too.
I said Perlmutter. I wasn't sure how long you were. Kevin Perlmutter has written this book called Brand Desire. Spark customer interest using emotional insights. Absolutely. I would call it the single most important branding book for your business that is available today.
Wow.
I am not joking about that. It is filled with research. It is filled with examples. I don't care if it's B2B or B2C. I know some of you B2B people out there going, well, this doesn't apply to us because we're business to business. Well, can I just tell you something? It's not like you're selling to a rock, okay? It's not like it's just a solid entity. You're selling to another human being who has emotions and who is basically built as a human being. So, and we'll talk about that a little bit too. But the book is outstanding, and he's what joins us today. So let me introduce you to Kevin Perlmutter because he's awesome. He is the chief strategist and founder of Limbic Brand Evolution, a brand strategy consultancy. Try saying that fast 7 times, which puts emotional insight at the center of how brands attract and retain customers. Based near New York City, he works with business and brand leaders to create stronger connections between their brand and the people they want to reach. Throughout Kevin's 30-plus year career, which is impossible because he is only 30, including his time as Senior Director of Brand Strategy at Interbrand, he's worked with dozens of top global and regional brands in various roles and has consistently guided development of more effective methods for brand evolution and engagement. And he joins us here with his latest and new book, Brand Desire, where you are going to learn today and through the book how to spark interest in your brand using emotional insights. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to New Direction. Welcome for the first time to the show, Kevin Perlmutter. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me and for the most fabulous introduction ever. So I think
Awesome.
we're off to a good start.
Yeah. Oh, no. It gets better from here. I promise you. I promise you.
I have no doubt. I've seen your shows. I know it's going to get better, and we're going to get
we're going to just jump into chapter 1. By the way, you divided this book up into sections. The first part is called Feel. And Feel.
Yes.
I got that right. Chapter 1, and maybe I wrote it down wrong. Chapter 1, Evolving Brand Strategy. And here's the quote. Behavioral scientists will tell you that we gravitate toward the things that make us feel good and away from the things that make us feel bad. This is the idea that's rooted in, of course, approach avoidance motivation theory, which I know quite well. So why do we start here when we're talking about branding of, well, we gravitate towards things that make us feel good and away from things that make us feel bad?
Well, we start there because the single objective of any brand leader is to attract people to their brand and to use that as a way to sell product and grow their business. And that is what everyone's going for. And if people are having bad experiences or things are irrelevant to them or indifferent or just mildly bland and ignorable, then we're either going to pull away instinctively or ignore it. But if things are actually catching our attention, if things are feeling like they were designed with us in mind, feeling highly personally relevant, then we're going to lean in and we're going to lean in a bit. We're going to want to learn more.
Is this an all or nothing principle, or is there an in-between here? Meaning, and I'm asking you this from your standpoint, is there like either we feel good or we feel bad, or is there a we feel nothing?
Oh, I think the large majority of stuff we feel nothing. I mean, we are inundated with marketing messages, and we're inundated with junk in our inbox. We're inundated with so much stuff, thousands of impressions of whatever every single day. We can't possibly process it all. In fact, it's the limbic system part of our brain, as you know, that sorts through all this stuff and actually signals what we should consciously be aware of. Mm-hmm. And there are going to be things that strike us negatively, and we're going to consciously lean back. And there are things that are going to strike us as intriguing and interesting and desirable, and we're going to lean in.
Do you think I got to tell you, after reading the book, I kind of have this thought process, correct me if I'm wrong, that maybe feeling nothing is worse than feeling bad towards something. And let me go why I'm saying asking you this kind of in a roundabout way. If I don't feel anything about your brand, to me, it's like it evoked no emotion. I mean, if you make me feel bad about your brand, at least you evoked something emotionally, right? Even I go, well, I don't like that brand, right? I can probably do something with that and go, okay, well, why does the brand make you feel that way? And how do I reverse that? But if you feel nothing, I don't know where to start from there.
So you're talking about it from the brand leader's perspective and how.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the If I'm the brand,
as a customer, I might have a different response. But
right.
But brand leaders, when it comes to improving their product and their customer experience and their marketing, if people feel absolutely nothing, then you're not doing something right. You're in the sea of sameness, and you're maybe using jargon and cliches and familiar language. And honestly, I think a lot about jargon and cliches, and I feel like it's actually a cop-out. It's an excuse. It says to someone, oh my God, they thought I was just this generic human who responds to, our success is your business. And they think that I'm going to jump at the chance to work with somebody who's saying exactly the same things as everybody else, that is somewhere on the ignorable side to, wow, they really don't care. They didn't think about that too hard, to the negative side. I also think that if you're on the negative side, maybe it's a bad brand experience. There's something systemic in your organization that needs to be fixed. Either you're using your marketing materials that are just bad aesthetically from a content perspective, whatever, or your customer experience is letting people down, or your advertising is making promises that your brand experience can't keep. I mean, all of those things are even the neutral ones from a brand leader's perspective should be seen as a negative that you need to fix. You need to get better insight. You need to get better creative. You need to get better, have better experiences. You need to do a lot of that stuff. We could talk about that for hours, and we can talk about people who are in the business of fixing really bad stuff. Fortunately for me, I'm more often in the business of helping brands that are in that neutral zone where people aren't feeling much. They're really good brands, really good products, really good experiences, like the 6 examples that I share in my book in 6 chapters. These are brands that are doing great things in the world for their customers, yet they haven't figured out how to talk about it. They haven't figured out how to let the world know what their current customers are feeling so that their prospects feel attracted to those benefits.
This is probably a good place where I say something that you say in the book. Great brand experiences are largely emotional and don't happen by accident. They are actively designed.
Yes, that's a quote from the book by Greg Hurd, creative director, brand leader who I've worked with over the years.
So this is where I think this book comes in, is you're going to help us design this, right? Or at least consider how we do the research to get to the design part of it. And I think this is where people need, and people start taking notes if you haven't already, because what happens here is I think we feel that our brand is okay, as I opened up the show, that we feel that we're just fine, but it's not producing the results that you want. And we have a tendency to lean towards old traditional 20th century models of push ourselves out. This is what we do. This is what we do. This is how great we are. This is why we're awesome. This is why you should buy from us. We're tired, aren't we, of that message as a consumer?
We are tired of it. And before we go, I know where you're going with this. And before we go into how we get away from the old traditional models, I want to come back to that idea of design, because design has multiple meanings. Design is design, visual identity, design. But when I'm talking about design, and what Greg is referring to there is orchestrating. It's orchestrating amazing experiences. It's being thoughtful. It's about bringing in the insights that help you create better strategy that leads to an orchestration of how people experience the product and service offering, how people experience the visual identity, the customer experience, the brand messaging. It's about orchestrating. It's about the customer service experience. When you call a customer service line, you're starting out in a negative place. What are they going to do to help you recover? Are they going to make it worse for you by leaving you on hold for 15 minutes with music that loops in a way that makes you feel anxious? Or are they going to actually have a system that says, we have about a 10-minute wait. You could either stay on hold or you can leave us your number and we'll call you back. You won't lose your place in line. I mean, like, that difference is amazing. Why doesn't every company have that? Why do some companies still make you wait on hold for 45 minutes? It doesn't make sense with that technology in existence. It's disrespectful to your customers. And if you think that they were angry when they started the call, wait till they get on the phone with someone after 45 minutes of listening to chaotic music that's not helping them calm down. I mean, like, they did not orchestrate and design an experience that was conducive to helping people feel good so that they continue to lean in and want to be part of this experience.
Yeah, this is the problem that we have, is that we've got this great technology. And can I just say that there are some very large companies that I do business with, and I'm not going to mention your names, but you know who you are. All right. And when you put me on this ridiculous music loop that recycles itself every 3 minutes and then remind me that I'm on hold, you're not helping your case here.
Not at all.
Okay. Because I got to tell you, after the 400th time I've heard this jingle that's been going on for 3 minutes, my ears are bleeding, and I want to poke my eye with a fork so that I can get to the hospital as quickly as I possibly can. Because going to the hospital emergency room is better than sitting on your phone. I'm just throwing that out there.
By the way, Jay, you know what makes that even better? When every 45 seconds they say, your call is really important to us. We'll be right with you.
I'm just telling you, it is the most irritating thing in the world. And
it's horrible. It's horrible. It's thoughtless.
I would love to say, well, it's only a few companies. No, it's so many of you. You're ridiculous, and you're big. You're huge, and you got to stop it, because I'm looking for another provider for my URLs. Okay, I'm not going to mention your name, but if I could find your mother, I would. Go to them. Right? Does that make sense? What I've just said there?
I'm with you 100%.
So let's talk about the difference between this. I don't think people understand that we're so stuck in the 20th century and we're in 21st century. And so I knew you kind of knew where I was going here. Let's talk about what we're doing and what we need. What's our mind shift got to be now that we're here?
Yeah, absolutely. The enemy in my book is traditional brand strategy. I'm helping readers and my clients move away from traditional brand strategy. And I define traditional brand strategy as old approaches that are devoid of deep customer insight and understanding what people care about. I also have a glossary in the back of my book in terms throughout the entire book. There are 40 terms throughout the book. Some of them are refreshed definitions of old terms. Some of them are new terms that we can talk about as we go through this. And there are a number of familiar terms that are not in the glossary, but are called out in the pages as things that need to go away, like proof points and reasons to believe and unique selling propositions. Mm-hmm. This language of the past, this language of advertising creative briefs since the 1970s, this language which is rooted in selling and persuasion, mm-hmm. is steering people who use that language down the path of answering that part of the brief with a unique selling proposition and the points we will use to prove to people that this brand is for them. There's nothing in that language that actually inspires you as a strategist or a creative director or as a brand leader to go uncover emotional insights and what matters to people and address them. It's all about sitting internally. It's all about thinking about what your brand has to offer and what you believe are the things that are most valuable about it, and then selling those things. That's one problem. More recently, not of 25 years ago, but say 10 years ago, 12 years ago, is this phenomenon and bandwagon effect of finding your why, which, in the leadership arena, having a why, finding your why, using that as an inspirational leadership, whatever, it's all good. I'm not complaining about that. But it's been co-opted as a brand strategy framework. And you know what the problem is? But for your listeners, what the problem is that your why is you standing on a table saying what you're passionate about. You're in the bar, you're talking with someone, and you're saying, here's what's so great about me. Here's what I'm passionate about. Here's what I do. Here's why I do it. And you have not taken a second to talk to the person and ask any questions and be curious about what they care about in their world, in their life, so that what you're saying has the chance of being relevant and connecting at an emotional level. There's a golden circle of why and who and why and what and how. What's missing from the golden circle is who. Why in the absence of who is a half-baked brand strategy. And one of the things that Brand Desire is all about is deeply understanding your who so that your brand can be relevant, compelling, and desirable.
That's awesome. His name is Kevin Perlmutter. The book is entitled Brand Desire. That's the who. The book's entitled Brand Desire, Spark Customer Interest Using Emotional Insights. Just getting started here in the first section. You're listening to him here on A New Direction. Hey, folks, Linda Craft Team Realtors, first time, long time sponsor. Let me just tell you something. They help people transition in life. Oh, you say, what do you mean? Well, think about every place you've ever lived has been a life transition, right? And so they've learned how to, over the course of 40 plus years, learn how to take the stress or reduce it way down so that that transition, whatever that next transition is going to be more smooth for you and will actually make you feel better. So listen, when you're ready to make your next life transition, start with Linda Craft Team Realtors. It's really easy. Just go to lindacraft.com, LINDACRAFT.com. And we're back here on A New Direction with Kevin Perlmutter, the book's Brand Desire, Spark Customer Interest Using Emotional Insights. Kevin, I want to stay on this little thing about stuff that we do that we shouldn't be doing, because one thing you did say in the chapter 1 here was most brand leaders tend to focus on brand messages and the product features and benefits that they believe are most important. However, when you talk with brands customers, other reasons emerged.
Yep.
And more often, it's about tangible emotional benefits. We love to say that we have the best cut of steak, don't we? Our steak looks really good. My gosh, have you seen the thickness of that steak? That steak's thick. Don't you want a thick steak? Come on, of course you do. Kevin, look at that. Look at that thing. That's just a good looking steak.
It's a thing of beauty.
It's a thing of beauty, right? And let me tell you the benefit of it, Kevin. Do you know how much protein's in that steak? You were right. It's a bunch.
That's what I'm looking for when I get a steak.
And I know you're the first thing you're thinking about is, man,
healthy.
I could get healthy in that filet mignon. You know where I'm going here with this. Right? But this is what we're doing on our websites. This is what we're doing in our brand messaging. And that's still a 20th century thought process. Break us out of it. Get us to the 21st century.
Yeah. So I talked a lot about definitions and words, and part of so you alluded to earlier, there are 5 parts to the book: feel, focus, connect, evolve, and lead. The middle 3, focus, connect, and evolve, are the 3 phases of brand strategy development and evolution that I outline very specifically in the book. And the first phase of focus is all about insights discovery. And it's about understanding the emotional benefits that people are caring most about for your brand. And it's all about understanding what people have going on in their own life so that your brand and what it has to offer can be uniquely relevant. And one new term that I introduce that is the conclusion, or the big insight. One of the big insights that comes out of focus is what I call the shared emotional motivation. And the shared emotional motivation is what both the brand and the customer are striving for individually and together. Individually and together. So if that's not a tagline or a brand idea, that comes later. But the shared emotional motivation helps identify, like, this is what people are looking for. This is what we do really well. And you could then answer that with benefits and invitations to come and get that shared emotional motivation, to come and get that motivation that people are striving for. So focus is all about understanding what people care about, what the benefits of the brand are from the brand's perspective, what the benefits that people would most appreciate in their life. And it's about uncovering what people care about.
So can I?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
I want to jump in here real quick.
Yeah.
These are the 3 steps to sparking brand desire that you talk about: focus, connect, and evolve.
Correct.
And so, and that's kind of how I touted the show, that we're going to at least get 3 of those. So I want to make sure that we delivered on that promise. This idea of focus, the shared brand motivation, and I have to tell you, I read that section probably, I don't know, at least 6 times, because I'm like going, okay, so I'm trying to, there's a shared emotional motivation between what I have as a brand and what my consumer may have, right?
Yes.
This is where this is where I need more clarity from you.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. And that is, so I know what I think it is. The consumer knows what they think that emotional motivation is. How do I find that shared motivation? Because
Yeah.
I'm still going to be stuck with, oh, well, we're just great. I mean, why wouldn't you think that we're just great, Kevin?
Yeah, no, that has nothing, being great in and of itself has nothing to do with it. So one of the things that's super important that happens in the focus in the insights discovery phase is understanding from current customers what is keeping them coming back for more. What is it? What's going on in their lives? What is it about their relationship with your brand, your product, your offering, your brand experience that is driving satisfaction, that is helping them keep coming back? And I'm going to go into detail on how I get to that. But the premise is that if you have loyal customers, if you have people that love what you have to offer, they're going to know more about why they choose your brand than you do. They're gonna have reasons that if you don't ask them about, you're not going to know about. And those reasons are 99% of the time emotional benefits, how they feel based on having that brand in their life, or the experience that they have with that brand. It's based on how they feel. So you need to ask questions that get to what those benefits are. And then you can turn those benefits into the ways you attract prospects, because there are probably many people out there who will want those same benefits. And it's probably going to be something different than what you anticipated. So I like to ask certain questions during this phase of customers. Talking with customers is an essential part of the work. I ask questions like, what's the best thing that this brand does for you? I ask things like, what have been the biggest surprises that you've experienced since bringing this brand into your life, into your business, into your world? What are a few words that describe how you feel? Give me 3 words to describe how it makes you feel to have this brand in your life. I'll ask, if this brand went away, if this offering, this product went away, what would you miss the most? If you were to recommend this brand to a friend, what's the one reason why you'd say they've got to check it out? With questions like that, you get people to open up. You get people to share what, very openly. They will share with you the things that rise to the top in answer to those questions. They're going to be more emotionally driven based on the experience than basic features and products that you might expect, or that a brand leader might feel is what they should probably talk about. And then you can turn those things into the benefits that you use to attract other customers. I'm going to pause there because I know there's more to say. But
but there's a couple dangers here. One is, I think sometimes you make a point of this, and I agree with this.
Yep.
First, there's confirmation bias, which could be a real big problem here. Secondly, there is also relying on past customers and not continually interviewing and getting information from current customers, meaning that we rely on the very deep past. But as we know, if we don't stay on top of it, the way customers feel about things change. Like you made a point in the book that after COVID happened, the way we may look at a business may be different than what we looked at a business prior to COVID.
Yes.
So if you're relying on information prior to COVID, and that's determining your branding, that's not going to be nearly as effective as it is post-COVID, how your people are feeling. That's where I'm going.
Absolutely. So I'll address both of those points that you made. The confirmation bias comes in on the client side. The confirmation bias comes in if they believe that things should be stated a certain way, if they believe customers feel a certain way, if they're using old data from 3 years ago that may not be current. That's where the process that I recommend is specifically designed to overcome confirmation bias, because you're talking with current customers, not past customers. You're talking with current customers about why they keep coming back for more. They've been a customer for a while. They recently became a customer, but I would never go back to, I might go back to customers who have left the franchise and find out why they left and what's causing concern, or what was it that changed, or what was it about some other brand that may have swayed them away. But when I'm talking with current customers, whether they're relatively new or long-standing, I'll be asking questions about why they continue to come back, and what is it about this experience that they keep that stops them from leaving. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think those are the two things that really were concerning, because I think also we get into a confirmation bias in when we start believing that everything is good because we got a number of positive reviews on Google.
Oh, right. You can't just rely on that. No, a lot of people aren't leaving reviews and they might not be happy.
Right. And so I think there's also that part of it too, where we're not doing the research and enough to be able to dig in and go, okay, this is how our clients or customers are really feeling. And
Yep.
by the way, we also have to acknowledge, right, that if we don't ask the right question in the right way, people will give us an answer that we're expecting, which just confirms us even further, because people are generally not going to tell us really what they feel, depending on how we ask the question. Talk more about that.
Well, yeah, and as you know from reading the book, I go into a significant amount of detail on how to ask questions rooted in behavioral science approaches that are meant to evoke what people are get people to talk about things. So, for instance, we have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, and the parasympathetic nervous system is when we're openly talking and excited about what we're talking about, and the other is when we're not. So if I were to say to you, Jay, what is the worst part of your podcast, you're gonna sit back a little bit, sweat a little bit, your heart's gonna thump, and you're gonna be like, how dare he ask that question?
Editing.
And then you're gonna, we're live, man. And then you're gonna tell me, something that you want me to hear. But if I was to say to you, Jay, if there was one thing, just one thing that you can do to make your podcast better for all your listeners, what would it be? You're going to lean in a little bit. You're going to tell me something you've been thinking about, mulling about, haven't really put together as a thought. You're going to smile a little bit. This is a question that sees a brighter future. And there's a different way of asking questions that a lot of people aren't familiar with that I talk about in the book. The other thing that's in the book, and I believe it's chapter 10, is the research chapter, where I have a whole chapter on understanding how to conduct research using behavioral science methodologies that are designed to tap into our subconscious with scientifically validated techniques that help researchers and strategists and brand leaders understand what people are instinctively feeling and associating, and it has a higher correlation to their future behavior, and it also accurately depicts what it is that it's going on in their mind. And then there's also ways that I talk about where you can correlate that to conscious questions, so you can get cross methodologies and find correlations that are very important. So again, without doing a whole hour on research methodologies, there's a chapter that details the right ways to ask questions, whether it's quantitative or qualitative, using both implicit and explicit methodologies.
Yeah, I think one of the ones with IAT, I think, was
implicit association testing. Yeah,
which is, and then there was the picture
metaphor elicitation.
Yeah, which is absolutely. By the way, that one I think is awesome.
I love it. I'm a board member of a nonprofit, social services nonprofit, and we recently recently renovated our food pantry, which used to we hand people bags of food who stand in line and wait for it. And we've just evolved to a choice pantry where people could go in and shop with greater dignity and make choices and less waiting in line. And at the start of that project, I conducted focus groups among not only the community members who use the food pantry, but among our volunteers who work at the pantry and serve our community members. And we used metaphor elicitation to help envision things that people wouldn't have thought about without this methodology to envision what the future of the pantry could be. And that insight led to architectural plans and space design. It was just fascinating methodology. I love it.
Well, the example that you gave, I think, was real estate.
Well, that was one. So what I just described to you with my nonprofit, which, by the way, Rise, the Central Jersey nonprofit that I'm talking about, is chapter 12, I believe, or 11.
11.
But with the real estate example that I gave in the research chapter, that was not focus groups. That was actually working with an outside partner, a research company that specializes in quantitative metaphor elicitation, where you're using the same picture sort, but you're doing it. We did it with thousands of respondents in the real estate market to envision a new customer experience possibility for the beginning of buying and selling a home. That research company, by the way, is Protobrand, and they're quite amazing to work with.
Well, I just found it interesting that some people would pick the picture of a tornado and say, that is how I feel about real estate.
Well, the way the methodology works, for the benefit of your readers, of your viewers, is you say to somebody, instead of saying, if I was to say in a focus group, how would you want to change the real estate buying and selling process? And they would be like, I don't know. I'm not in the industry. I mean, I just know it stinks. But you use this methodology where you give them a whole mess of pictures, and you say, I'm going to try and remember this verbatim, that you say the first question is, choose a picture that describes how you feel during the process of buying and selling a home. And then they choose a picture, and let's say they choose the tornado. And then you say to them, please describe the picture that you chose. Oh, it's a tornado, and it's ripping up homes, and there's a mess, and it's destruction, and it takes a while, and you got to clean everything up and put it back together. Oh, okay. So why did you choose that picture to describe how buying and selling a home makes you feel? Oh, because it's such a destructive process. It rips up our lives. It's this, that, and the other. And all of a sudden you get all of this amazing, rich detail, this vivid detail that you wouldn't have gotten if you just said, what's it like to buy or sell a home? Oh, tiring.
Right.
I gotta pack boxes. It's amazing. These methodologies tap into our deep-seated emotions and our deep-seated feelings and ideas, and all of this questioning and research methodology is what I believe is missing from traditional brand strategy. It's more often using sometimes it's a lot of very smart people in a conference room with a little bit of confirmation bias and a lot of big ideas that are wonderful. And I've been there. I know what it's like. I've been in those rooms. But when you start to really get deep understanding of people, and you're doing it with behavioral science rooted methodologies that tap into our subconscious, we are getting much richer insights that don't typically happen in traditional work. Not because people aren't smart, not because people don't want those insights, because people are unfamiliar with the methodologies. They're relatively new, because people are used to the way it's always been done, because that's the way they were taught by their mentors, and they're not in a position to be a change agent in their company. There's a lot of things preventing the progress that have nothing to do with the intellect of the people. They're just not exposed to the types of opportunities that newer behavioral science thinking can have that should supplant old school persuasion-based thinking.
It's beautiful. His name is Kevin Perlmutter. The book, Brand Desire, Spark Customer Interest Using Emotional Insights. Absolutely fabulous book. There's no way we're going to get through all this today, but we'll get through some more after the end of this segment. So you know what? You're listening to Kevin and I here on A New Direction. Hey, folks, Linda Craft Team Realtors, love them. I'm biased. I admit it. I'm completely biased. I think it's the best website on the planet for real estate. Let me tell you why. It's not because they have all the listings and you can find houses and you can search houses. And it's not that. Here's where I think the difference. They went and they interviewed a child psychologist about how to move with children and what's the best way to do that, right? They went and interviewed veterinarians about how do you move with a pet, right? What's the best way that you could take that little fur baby, or maybe you've got a number of fur babies and you want to move with them in a safe way, right? So that they have the best experience possible, because a move can be tough on both children and pets. right? And so how do you make that happen for them? Those are just the little things that they have on the website. They have a great show called Real Estate Right Now, where they talk about real estate matters that matter to you and me, and they interview people live and interactive. And so it's just a friendly place to go to get more than just listings and homes. It's a place to get information that matters to you. So check them out, lindacraft.com, LINDACRAFT.com. And we're back here on A New Direction with my friend Kevin Perlmutter. His book, The Brand Desire Spark Customer Interest Using Emotional Insights. He doesn't know we're friends, but well, he's going to have to get over it.
I can tell we're friends. Fast friends.
What I haven't talked about here, what we haven't talked about, and we should because it's all over the book, is this 2-word term called Limbic Sparks.
Yep.
So let's talk about Limbic Sparks, because this is really important, and it really is a theme that's a crux throughout the book. So let's chat about that so that people can understand that we've got to create these, and what are they? What are they, and how do we create them?
Well, Limbic Sparks is a term that I came up with when I launched my business 6.5 years ago, and when I created Limbic Sparks brand strategy. And I define Limbic Sparks as what happens when emotional motivation meets brand desire. And emotional motivation, by the way, our emotional motivations are the drivers of our decisions and our behaviors. So when you encounter a brand and it has you at hello, and you start using it and you feel like you want to come back for more, there are limbic sparks flying. Think of a brand in your life that you would prefer not to live without. Think of a brand that you go to again and again. You'd miss it if it went away. That brand is creating what I call limbic sparks. And that's all the work that I'm doing is around, and all this book teaches is about how, as a brand leader, as a strategist, as a marketer, you can create limbic sparks by understanding what motivates people and having them feel like your brand is something they want in their life as a result.
I first of all, I love the term. Folks, the thing is that we've got this limbic system, and we also got this stuff inside the brain called basal ganglia, and there's this place called the nucleus accumbens that basically trigger together. They trigger a dopamine and all sorts of emotional stuff. And what you don't realize is that what happens is we're so much on automatic pilot. We don't even recognize that our decision-making process is based on how we feel. We don't recognize that we're just not self-aware. Some of us may be a little more self-aware than others, but as Dr. Tasha Urich pointed out in her research years ago, was that on our best day, we're only about 15% of us are aware on our best day. So these limbic sparks are really, really important, because it should beg the question, why should people care about your brand? Mm-hmm. Right? Which is part of Connect,
yes.
The Connect section. And so let's dig into this here, developing branding and brand benefits and invitations. When you say brand benefits and invitations, when developing those, what are we talking about?
I'm talking about a shift away from traditional brand strategy, where the definition in that world of a brand idea or a tagline is very broad, and very often it's an about us statement. We do this. This is, that's what many brand ideas are doing. In Limbic Sparks brand strategy, I've created a narrower definition of a brand idea or tagline, and that is a compelling brand benefit and invitation. It must be a benefit and invitation. And the only way you can get to a benefit and invitation is if you understand the shared emotional motivation, what you are authentically doing in the world to make people's lives better and what they need, want, and desire in their life. You found that intersection, and now you're giving them a benefit and an invitation that they say, wow, they get me. That feels like it was designed with me in mind. That's something that I want to bring into my life. And can I give a quick client example?
Of course.
Excellent. I want to be sure I have time. I don't know where we're at, but
we got about 10 minutes.
So there is a chapter in my book in the Connect section about a SaaS platform that does supply chain management. They have an inventory management system that's used in massive warehouses with tens of thousands of SKUs, maybe multiple locations, seasonal variability, whatever it is. If they service a lot of industries like HVAC. They service food distribution, all kinds of industries with lots of parts. And the thing is, they always need to have the accurate number of parts on the shelf for the demand. And by accurate, you mean within reason, but you don't want to be out of stock because then the salespeople are unhappy that they can't sell what they've sold. And you don't want to have too much because then the chief financial officer is unhappy because there's stuff sitting on the shelf that cost them a lot of money that they're not selling. So all of a sudden they have money tied up on the shelf that's not moving. So you want to have more accurate information. And if you are in the unenviable position of having the job of predicting the number of units of everything on every shelf, and you're using your highly educated gut instinct and an Excel document, unfortunately, no matter how good you are, there's a large chance you're going to be wrong more often than people like. But if you're using a SaaS platform like this company offers, then you can get like 95% accurate levels or whatever you set it for, and you become the hero. So the shared emotional motivation for a company like this between this company and its audience is very simple. It's not a fancy statement. It's improving planning precision. This company exists in the world to help organizations improve the precision of their inventory planning. And everything they do revolves around that mission, around that motivation, from an amazing piece of software to incredible customer support to all kinds of things. And if you are in the role of planning inventory levels, you would love nothing more than the ability to improve planning precision. Because when we were talking with customers, we heard things like, I'm the guy who gets in trouble at work all the time because people are mad at me. I can't win, unfortunately, because this is a very tough thing to accurately. So anyway, so we got to that shared emotional motivation. We knew what everyone was striving for. And then we transformed their brand idea from something that was benefit oriented, but relatively generic. And they would admit that because that's why they hired me, which was, we put you at the center of supply chain success. Okay, that's what it is. With this insight, with this shared emotional motivation, we got to be supply chain invincible. Be supply chain invincible, which is how people who are planning inventory and need precision want to feel. They want to feel supply chain invincible. And that is a benefit and an invitation that sparks interest. I'm not saying that a tagline is going to sell a very expensive enterprise software system, but I'm saying it's going to spark interest. It's going to get people to say, wow, that is exactly how I want to feel. I want to check that out. I want to learn more. And then when you dig into the emotional benefits that we have uncovered across all of their customers, we get to a few benefits in very plain, not B2B jargon language, but very plain language, which is eliminate guesswork. That's what their customers have said that they get from this product. They eliminate guesswork. Maximize inventory performance, which is a very specific industry term that talks about having accurate and precise inventory levels. And then an unmatched partnership, because when we spoke with customers and analyzed customer reviews, 25% of the time, people talked about their lifeline coaches. And that was not part of any question. It was volunteered. What I love most about them, what I would miss the most, are their lifeline coaches, the people who help me optimize and maximize use of the software. And by the way, I've worked with other inventory management platforms and nobody has coaches like this. So we found out what people care about, why people keep choosing this brand over and over again. And then we were able to differentiate the brand with compelling brand benefits and an invitation to come and get it if it's what you're looking for and what you want to feel in your job.
So what you just covered here was the 5 Limbic Sparks brand strategy components. That's basically what you did.
Yeah, well, it definitely covers focus, connect, and evolve. And if you put that to work for you, you have the chance to lead You have the
Right.
chance to lead in your organization with customer insights. Because when you lead with customer insights, you are able to not only inform your entire organization what customers care about, you can use that to improve your offering. You can use that to improve your marketing. You can use that to improve your customer experience. And then customers will then feel all of that, and they will keep coming back for more, and the cycle feeds. So I talk about customer insights, especially emotional insights, as a brand leader's greatest competitive advantage. And your brand idea and those insights are a beacon for how you can gain alignment and fuel success of everyone in your organization.
You know, there's in this section of the book, you do talk about some of the more iconic, the iconic brand, I guess, branding that they use in this section. And I've gone through, I wrote down a number of them on the list, but there's a couple here that I went, you know, well, actually all of them were, you know, none of them is really about them.
No.
They actually just intrigue me.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they just intrigue me, where you've got me intrigued. Like, think different. That's Apple.
Yes.
Right. Well, that's intriguing. It's not telling me what you do. Intel is Intel Inside. Well, it's intriguing. And what is that? Right. At least it's intriguing. The U.S. Army, be all that you can be. Right.
Yeah.
Right. You know, Nike's just do it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think people want to focus on the simplicity of it. It's not the simplicity of it. There is an intrigue there.
There's an intrigue. It's a benefit, and it's an invitation. It maybe not overtly,
right?
It's an invitation to experience something or to feel something that you know people want to feel. Now, I want to clarify. I included those examples, and I included Apple and Intel and Nike, and I did. This is not a book where I go into great detail rehashing the 5 brands that every branded book talk about. But I wanted to have a moment in the book where I talk about iconic brand ideas that people are familiar with that create and ignite that feeling that you're talking about. And that's what Limbic Sparks is there to help people do, even if they don't have a famous brand and gazillions of dollars of marketing budget.
Yeah. By the way, in this book, he talked about the 5 ways slogans are made more effective. I'm just going to give you a handful of them. Maybe I'll give you all 5. Clean and clear, use of music or poetry, make customers feel something, work with the brain, written in the first person. So I'm just going to give you those that are in the book, but there's so much more than what Kevin and I have talked about today. In fact, there's probably 10 to 15 shows in this book that Kevin and I will dig into. We've done an hour. You've been absolutely fabulous. If people would like to reach out to you, grab more information, hire you to come in and change, whether you're B2B, B2C, it doesn't matter. Kevin has worked profit, nonprofit. Kevin's worked with them all. Somebody would like to go, Kevin, you got to take a look at what we're doing here, because you know what, we should be better than we are, and we're not. How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, there are many ways. LinkedIn, you know, all the usual suspects. But if you go to branddesirebook.com, that right there takes you to a page on my website where there's details about the book. It's also a page on my website, so it links to all the other pages where I talk about my consulting practice and my offering. There's a Meet with Kevin link at the top if anybody wants to click that and schedule some time with me. That is an open invitation. And yeah, that's the book is available there. The book is available on Amazon, anywhere you shop online. And yeah, branddesirebook.com is the easiest way.
Okay, well, we'll put that on
just to summarize, you know.
We'll put that on the blog post that's associated with the show, Brand. We'll put the Brand Desire book. We'll put that on.
It's right there. It's on the screen right now. It's really good. It's been there the whole time.
Yeah, we'll put Brand Desire book, and we'll put that in the link in the.
Yeah, that'll work. That's a good way to go.
Kevin, thank you. Stay with me. Hey, folks, it's the show. You know what I say to you. First of all, you had a lot of choices. You chose us. Thank you so much. I'm grateful for that. Tell your friends. Give us a thumbs up wherever on YouTube, wherever you're listening to the show on podcast. Give us a 5-star review. It really helps us. And always, as always, feel free to reach out to me at jay@thecoachjay.com. That's jay@thecoachtoday.com. If you've got a suggestion or something that I can do to improve, I'm always open to hearing from you. Listen, you're in control of three things: your attitude, your effort, your resiliency. Life doesn't give us what we always want. In fact, we can find ourselves in circumstances we didn't ask for. But you know what you're in control of? You're in control of your attitude. So take control of it. It's not always easy, but you can do it. Your effort's tied to your excellence, right? So we don't always have the same amount of energy in the tank, but how excellent will you be with what you have? That's up to you, and that's your choice. And finally, your resiliency. We all get punched in the gut or punched in the mouth, and we get knocked down, but it's up to us to get back up again. Why? Because you're worth it, and we want you on the team. I'll be back next week with another great guest. It's going to be another great book. It means another great show. As I say to all over the world, thank you so much, and ciao, everybody.